Oh my, it's Most Things Kenobi, where we always have the high ground.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Leanne.
And I'm your host, Lauren.
Okay, before we get into it, before we just go crazy with Andor stuff, we have a few housekeeping notes. The first is we've decided to kind of let our listeners know, our current patrons and any potential future patrons, that we are doing some heavy lifting when it comes to revamping our Patreon and with new offerings, same tiers. We have the 3 tiers. But we're going to offer different things, more things, and we have a lot of fun things coming up, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm still working through some of our media that I'm building, our templates that I'm building. But once that's done, we can fully launch it. And I don't want to launch it around May the 4th because it'll get drowned out. Yeah. So I'm guessing we'll probably do it a little bit after that. And it's fun already. The stuff we've worked on has already been really fun. And it's going to be some of the same stuff, like the best parts of what we do already. And then lots more for everybody, I think. So
and you'll get to see us. Like, we'll be on camera because we're going to be doing recordings of us watching, pieces of Clone Wars or pieces of Star Wars. The trick is trying to find a media source that'll let us play it and record it at the same time. But we'll figure out. We've done it already, and we'll continue to figure that out. And we also have Most Things Kenobi bingo. There's a little example, a little preview for you.
Yeah, some games, some videos, some more community building stuff. Each for different tiers. Not every tier is going to have this, but we want to give back more to our Jedi Masters in particular because that's very generous.
That's the high tier, and we appreciate every single one of our patrons.
Yes,
all the way up, including the Jedi Masters, because it's.
Yeah.
What is it? Padawan, Jedi Knight, Jedi Master.
Yes. Of course.
And honestly, we appreciate your support just listening to us. But if you do feel compelled or want to support the Patreon, support the podcast through the means of a Patreon, it is available. Obviously, just you guys listening to us and laughing along with us is the joy.
Yes.
But, that we want to offer more, and so that's our way to do it. And we're excited about this. We've really, Lauren is kind of the brains of a lot of this because she's got that mind for entertainment.
It's my job.
Yeah,
my day job. So
she's just really good at creating graphics and videos and things, and I'm just over here trying to come up with some funny, goofy stuff for us to enjoy.
When I get to take my day job skills and apply it to Star Wars, who could ask for more?
It's amazing.
Well, if anyone is wondering, I know that we've had a few people reach out recently saying they didn't even know we had a Patreon. If you ever need a link to it, it's in the show notes always. Every episode, there's a link to the Patreon. And like Leanne said, if you feel compelled, we would deeply appreciate it, but of course it's not. We're gonna keep doing this one way or the other.
We're here regardless, and we're trying to have fun, like no matter what we do, because man, do we need fun these days, right?
Oh my God, yes,
and it's fun for us to produce. So if it's fun for us to produce, it's got to be fun for you guys to digest.
Well, yeah, and it's more excuse for you and me to hang out and do stuff together.
100%. 100%. Also, one other thing that we should very loudly specify before we get into this episode is full of spoilers. Do not proceed beyond this point if you have not watched the majestic episodes 1 through 3 for Andor season 2 that just dropped. Because
because, dear God,
Oh my God.
it's just as good as we thought.
It's I have zero complaints. Usually I get on here and I'm like, I don't know if I like this. I like this a lot. So
Even with Andor season 1, remember you were like, I'm not sure.
Well, that's because I couldn't hear a single word that they were saying. No, I had earbuds in this time. I said I'm not missing a word or a mumble.
I took Kevin's advice this time and rewatched it with subtitles.
Yes, subtitles necessary. Oh my God. Okay, so with all that being said, if you haven't seen the episode, stop now because this is your last chance. We're doing this. So let's go. I'm so excited. I can't take it. I've been dying to talk about this with you. Oh my God.
Let's go.
Let's go. Holy shit. From the jump. Okay, so I guess we should say we're going to go through this episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. And we'll be back here next week doing the same thing for the next set. So instead of bi-weekly, we'll be weekly. But this week, we are discussing episodes 1, 2, and 3. So we'll go in order. Let's start with episode 1.
Yes. I know we always jump around a lot, but I think you and I are structured.
We literally both came with pages of notes.
Yeah, I think in all truth, we did kind of mention before we started recording, we might need to come back later and go episode by episode. Mm-hmm. And we would maybe not, because we're doing this every other week. So that would be 24 weeks of waiting. We won't do it all at once, but I think we will deep dive because this show is just mind-blowing, and I just can't believe the amount of notes that I'm able to put together, and it's not even comprehensive. Like, there's more.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed, happily overwhelmed from the jump. Like the opening dialogue scenes between Cassian and the newly recruited rebel girl that was nervous and like opened up to him about how that hit me on a personal level. What he said to her.
So good.
Oh my God.
I know. The dialogue right from the jump. Beautiful.
And it reminded me what good writing can really do for a character, a television show, for a space, a fake world with fake shit. If you have good human writing, oh my God, it's irreplaceable.
Tony Gilroy's writing is just so special. It's so deep and layered, but beautiful and nuanced, and also tailored to the character. Like if I was reading this on a page, I could hear it in the characters' voices. Mm-hmm. And finally, Cassian gets to talk.
And talk he does. I'm telling you, that shit gave me chills when he told her that the Empire cannot win as long as we remain, as long as we keep doing what we do. And man, did that hit me on a personal level.
Yeah, when he said you're coming home to yourself, you've become more than your fear, let that protect you. I was just like, this is like a prayer, a mantra. Like, we all needed to hear this.
Right from the jump. And did you notice, doesn't he say to Jin, welcome home?
Yes.
And I was like, already they're starting with this. It's so good. Oh, I have chills talking about it. My legs are full of goosebumps. Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God. It's so particular. It's so on purpose, but effortless at the same time.
Yes.
You know he's doing everything. Like, Tony Gilroy is writing this on purpose. Everything has a purpose, right down to the last little button or lack thereof on a person's jacket.
Yeah.
But it never feels heavy-handed.
No.
It feels so effortless and so appropriate for each character and each arc that we've seen. And I just could cry. There's not enough good stuff like this in the world.
I know.
Just not even Star Wars, just in general. People, nowadays, I feel like with AI, we're kind of just accepting a little less for ourselves because it's easier to let something else do the work for us.
No.
This is a work of art, and it's such a gift to have in this day and age for so many reasons. Oh my God.
I felt the fear of that girl. That's so, what I saw through all of these episodes, every single one, was the emotion was appropriate for the scene and for what was trying to be conveyed. And kudos to all the actors and actresses, because it was so realistic. It wasn't overacted. It wasn't underacted. It wasn't cheesy. It was appropriate and well done, to the point where I believed. You have to make me believe. And I felt that girl's nervousness, and I don't know who she is. We may never see her again, but like, she left a mark, because this is what the rebellion is at. This is the point that it's at.
Yeah.
They're deathly afraid of what will happen if they go against the grain. It's so...
There's also something interesting in the interaction she had with the other woman who works there.
Oh, right. I know. Yeah.
And she says that, like, I've enjoyed my time here.
Yeah.
There's this stark contrast that you don't get right away. You see it later down the line, where the empirical scenes are kind of calm and quiet and peaceful, and there's weird camaraderie. I'm not saying all of it, but often in the first 3 episodes, this is what you've seen. The rebels have infighting. They're a mess. They don't know who's in charge. It's so starkly different. And it's weird to feel in that moment they're sitting in this, I don't know if it was a mess hall or what, but it's quiet and it's kind of calm, and they can just have this whispered conversation. And she is full of fear, but it's still this very intimate moment in this really dark place that's a research facility that's probably intended to kill more people. What a weird but interesting contrast, I thought.
That's a really good observation.
I also really enjoyed that there was a lot of humor.
And it wasn't forced. I didn't feel like it was forced. It wasn't like Last Jedi humor, which felt like it was, a slap in the face.
Yeah, and sometimes gross.
Yeah, and so I agree. When there's little touches here and there, because you can't have a completely down serious, it exhausts the person watching.
Yeah.
So it was like a little sprinkle here and there.
But the fact that he couldn't fly the ship in Star Wars, that's the whole...
True.
Everybody's like, I can fly anything in Star Wars. And he immediately is like, and also screams the word shit. I was just like, I love that Andor has brought real swears to Star Wars. Thank you.
Diego Luna's acting in that ship made me believe he was actually in a ship and was fucking it up. And anyone who's played any kind of Star Wars game that involves ships, you have flown just like Cassian trying to get a ship off the ground. You've taken your PlayStation or your Xbox controller and done the same shit. Don't try and hide from me. That is real shit. Not everyone is Poe Dameron, who can get in a ship and say, I know exactly how to do this. Boop, 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 boop. We got real people trying to fly ships that it's a test bed. It was a prototype.
Yeah.
No one's going to know how to fly that shit with all the fancy. He's like, where's the seat? He's like, where the is the... And then it folded up.
And then it just got worse and worse. Like, not only did he crash backward, but he's hitting the walls and the ceiling and blowing up. It's just like, oh, this is getting out of control.
He was so determined, and then he pushed forward and it was the back. And it's like, that's so realistic. It's so real. But those scenes were cool. I thought those scenes were fantastic.
Oh my God. The editing timing, the beats were so good. And it felt what I'm really feeling a lot from this whole show, especially though in this opening sequence, is it is now going to feel like it's very seamlessly going to tie into Rogue One.
Oh yeah. Totally.
It had more, and it's like the music is actually a different composer, which really broke my heart because I love Nicholas Britell, but he had a family tragedy, and because of the strike, they weren't able to use him this time. So it was someone named Brandon Roberts, I think. But his music sounds more like the Rogue One music, and the editing of the action felt a little more Rogue One. So I feel like by the end, it's going to just flow. and you're not even going to notice. Because they said they wanted to start Andor as far away from Rogue One as they could.
Yeah.
And then connect it. And already it's looking so beautiful and seamless the way they're going to do it. I have total faith they're going to stick the landing because it's so good. It's just God.
Well, what's funny is I've read some things, after the fact, not prior to, but after the fact, and people who have seen all of the episodes said these 3 are the quote slowest of the bunch, and I'm like,
oh my God,
if this is the litmus test, holy shit, what do we have waiting? I know what we have awaiting us: greatness, greatness,
and tears. Lots of tears.
And Cassian Andor looks great in red. Same as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Mandalorian red. I don't give a It's in my notes.
I think he would look good in anything. They both would look good in anything or nothing. I'd be fine with either.
I just thought it was kind of funny that red seems to be these boys' color. Like, we got to see what Chandrilla looks like.
Oh my God, and is it amazing? It's amazing.
It looks like the Italian Dolomites, which...
I think it's actually based on Catalonia, I believe. The Montserrat Mountains in Catalonia. That's what I've read.
Okay.
But I think the Dolomites look fairly similar.
Well, I looked it up to make sure I wasn't lying to myself, and I'm like, nope, that's what they look like. But I mean, obviously it's a fake world, right? Inspiration from whatever, but I would live there. I would live there.
And it could come from multiple locations. I'm sure they're not inspired just by one place, but it
looks cool.
Amazing. Another runner up to Alderaan for me.
I just want to say, and it was confirmed when I did the research after the episodes to see did I see something or did I make that up in my brain? No, it was confirmed. And I have a theory. But in these 3 episodes, as more and more of Chandrilla and the wedding scenes and the lore behind the Chandrilla history that comes out with this wedding and all this stuff, loved that stuff. Great elements. Yeah. It all very, very much looked exactly like the Star Cruiser hotel that we stayed at in Disney.
Really?
To the point that the glasses that they were drinking from, I'm like, I know I had a cocktail on that Star Cruiser in that glass. And I wonder, did they take the from the leftover set pieces?
They probably did.
From the hotel to use it in this show. I mean,
it's got to get used somehow since the hotel went out of business.
But I did. There are specific things that were picked out that were either on the Star Cruiser or a direct translation from it, because for those who don't know, the Star Cruiser is a Chandrillan ship, and you leave port out of Chandrilla. So,
oh my God, how cool is that? These are the details about Star Wars that I love.
I don't know that anyone else would have picked that up. I'm dying to know what my friends who stayed in the Star Cruiser thought, but they're currently on a Disney cruise, so they can't comment yet. I don't even know if they've seen it, but I know they're going to listen to this episode. And they also like when Perrin does his toast. This is in, I think it's in, is that in episode 2?
It's 2 or 3. I can't remember. But
we'll talk about that. But when he does the toast, the part of the toast is something that they taught us, is a saying or a portion of a saying that they taught us on the Star Cruiser. So I was getting flashbacks everywhere. It was very cool.
Oh my gosh, how cool. It was right from the beginning of that sequence also. That I was watching it with my boyfriend, and he's a filmmaker, and he was saying, "Are you noticing the focus pulling?" I was like, "Of course not." I'm I'm watching Mon Mothma being amazing. So I went back. It's 2.5 minutes uncut.
Oh my God.
Through the entire set. They start with her greeting family members, that she speaks to an aide, walks all the way down, speaks to multiple people, and turns and finds Luthen at the docking bay. It's 2.5 minutes uncut with nonstop focus pulling, and it's precision. It is some of the best filmmaking I've seen in a long time, not just for TV, but the technical skill required from everyone to make that whole sequence work is top level. Unbelievable.
Do you think they had a runway that like the runner where they moved the camera along, or do you think it was held on a body stabilizer?
I think it's a body stabilizer.
Wow.
And usually you have a person holding your back. And sometimes they hand the camera off depending on like if there's any kind of obstacle that they have to get around. They'll like hand it to the next cameraman. But there's usually a person on the back stabilizing you. Yeah, I mean, that kind of scene takes a lot of rehearsal. And everyone knows exactly where they're supposed to be on a beat. You can't miss it because people are moving in the background in and out of the shots.
That's true.
The set is nuts, dude. It's like how many layers tall?
I was trying to picture what was real, what was built, what was kind of spliced in the back, because they add effects to make depth and all this shit, but like, but did you notice that it started in that scene, but it continued through the 3 episodes? The symbolism of a circle or a ring, like an inner circle. Just the symbol, like, the architecture at her home were giant open circles. And then there's reference to keep close, know who's in your inner circle. There's all this quiet talk amongst the soon-to-be rebels, in between all of these senators and politicians and highbrow Coruscant, but they're like talking amongst themselves and like know who you can trust, which comes to a head at the end and all this stuff. But like the symbolism of a circle was very physically present as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Archways and circles on the floor. And it was, there is just so much effort and detail. My boyfriend's other question was, do you know what the budget was for this? Because it's insane.
It has to be the costumes alone.
Yeah. I've heard Tony Gilroy talking about this sequence in particular because the costumer not only had to dress everyone in this sequence in couture. There was no like, everyone, here's like the pants for everybody. Here's the shirts for everybody.
No.
Nothing like that. Every inch of their costume is couture. And then the next day would have to come in and do the rebel sequence. So to have to switch, back and forth from these very, very different levels of detail. All of it's detailed, but like to have to switch your brain on and off to each one as he would do the sequences, incredible. I mean, these people deserve every award possible because it's...
I really, really loved, again, through all the episodes, introduced in episode 1, the theme within the Chandrillan portion of the show, the theme of tradition between the little ropey things that the women clip on behind their ears or in their hair. The braid cutting, which was very similar to like Padawan braids, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's speeches. There's that hike they went up to with the maiden and, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, none of this was necessary per se.
Right.
But it added so much more that made it so much more interesting to watch.
I know, and I would love to pick Tony Gilroy's brain.
I know. Oh.
Like, what inspires this? Like,
yes.
Do you literally just pull it out of your own head, or is it a very deliberate choice that you're making? Is it someone at Disney saying, here's our documentation that we have on Chandrilla, please try and stay as close to it as possible?
It could be any combination of that. We don't know, and I wish we could ask him. Oh.
I know. Oh God, if we could interview him, that would be a dream come true. I just want to like learn his writing process and
the creative genius behind it all. Please give us insight if you have any little nuggets you want to give, because it's so fascinating to us. Like,
I know, it's really, and I kept Googling like what was, the inspiration for this or that, and of course there's no answers yet. No one's asked him these questions yet. So hopefully we'll get more detail as more time goes by, but it was so fascinating. Yeah. And it just carries on into the scene with Krennic.
Oh, I thought we'd never get to this point. I'm so excited.
Oh my God.
He is so irritable. His irritation and the way that Ben Mendelsohn acts this character out is brilliant. The little hand gestures, the
Yes.
tick in his voice, like everything about this man is a wreck. And he just thinks so highly of himself. Like, I just can't. And I loved those scenes. I loved it. And it was terrifying too.
Yes. It was like the ISB scenes from season 1.
Yeah.
But in a escalated level of intensity. It was like you can't look away. It's so fascinating and horrific.
Not only that, they're discussing the upcoming impending Gorman massacre. Which for people who may or may not know, it was part of Legends. It was not in canon, and now they're bringing it back. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle the actual massacre itself, because it's obviously coming.
I do love that Tony Gilroy is not shy at all about how this is based on Nazis.
The intelligence agency, isn't that a Nazi thing?
It is. Yes.
Emotional. What was it called?
It was the Ministry of Enlightenment, and that is what Hitler's propaganda department was called. It was called, I have it written down here because I was so fascinated. I needed to go and check it. Literally, Hitler's propaganda department was called the Ministry of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment. Sometimes it's reversed. Sometimes it's called the Ministry of Enlightenment and Public Propaganda or something like that. But
that is scary shit.
It is pulled right from Hitler. And then also the location, that whole meeting is based on something called the Wannsee Conference, which happened in 1942. And it's where German high command and propaganda had a meeting to discuss how to exterminate the Jews. What was it called? Like the final solution or something like that.
Oh, God.
Right. It's exactly what's happening in this. And also, it's not just isolated to World War II. This kind of stuff has happened over and over. It happened with the it's called the Scramble for Africa. It happened there as well, where a bunch of white people, white men, let's be serious, sitting in a conference room, determine what's going to happen to other countries and other groups of people, and they have no say in it whatsoever. So it's historically accurate and gross as fuck, but so brilliantly executed.
Brilliantly executed with a table of desserts.
Yes, that's what happened at the Nazi conference.
They're very calmly laughing about this, chuckling over it, making fun. Okay, I don't want anything to do with these Gorman spiders. Okay, that whole to me.
Me too. I was like, you're 40 million spiders. You can right off. No, thank you.
God bless those spiders. They seem to have a harmonious, symbiotic relationship with the fabric company or the weavers of Gorman. This is fantastic stuff because it's always some kind of power-hungry natural resource that they're going to exploit an entire inhabitant, some world, some community of human beings and its species that they're connected to the land, and just wipe them out because, sorry, we need whatever you have so we can kill more people with it. Like, it's gross. But I'm glad they show this shit because this is what happens.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so sorry for the spiders, though. The spiders, here's the thing, though. The spiders will find a way to come back. It's the humans that won't.
Oh, yeah, the people are and they made that lame comment of, resituating them would be preferable, but we need to make a contingency plan for when it's not possible to move them off planet. It's like, that's the plan. Their whole plan is to just make sure everyone dies and can't confirm.
Well, we saw what happened at Jeddah. It's no different than Jeddah.
And Canary, which, Cassian's home planet with the mining accident that killed all the people of their quote-unquote accident.
Quote-unquote.
I thought there was something particularly interesting, too, when Krennic is first speaking and he's saying, only the people in this room know. Like, your bosses don't even know why you're here or what's going on. Well, at first that sounds like you're working on a really classified thing. It's very special. But what we've learned from Hitler is that what that does is give the bosses in the higher regime plausible deniability.
Correct.
So that when the project is done and you've killed all these people, they can blame you, say you went rogue, kill you, and move on with what they were doing anyway.
You are just as expendable as the people they're planning to get rid of. You're part of this plan. They don't care how, make it happen, and then you're no longer their business anymore.
Exactly.
The only person, I mean, even down to Krennic, let's be real. I mean.
Yes. And it was, as we saw.
Yeah.
Tarkin hated his guts. The minute he finished his project, Tarkin's like, I'll just take that. Thank you very much.
I'm just here to tell you that his cape was pressed, starched, and ready for me. And I appreciated every moment that he put into starching that cape. I loved his scene with Deidre. He personally asked for Deidre. Deidre doesn't. I find it interesting that Deidre doesn't want any part of it.
She is so focused on access that she doesn't want, and maybe she knows that it's like setting them up to be patsies.
I think she does. I think she has enough foresight to know, like, I see where this is going to go. I don't want any part of it. Let me have my project and I'll keep going.
Them together was so excellent because she's such a like hard ass, and Krennic is like a perfect foil for that because he's the same, but when you're on his team, he could really use you. And for him to come up and say the dialogue where he was like, you think you're hard to read, you need to get over that. I want your opinion. You've formed an opinion before they finished talking. I asked you to be here because I want to know what you think. That's awesome.
It is.
It's just so
awesome. I would tell him whatever he wanted at that point.
And he was like delighting in it. He was so like delighted.
And when she finally gave it to him, he was like, "Oh, all right, okay, I see this girl." I just loved everything about those scenes because it's the smarmy shit I expect from a round table of inside Empire people doing what they're about to do. I can't.
You know what else was really interesting, though, is when Partagaz was talking to, I guess the guy was military, because Partagaz is in white. He is an intelligence officer, I guess, right? That's how we delineate a bit. And the other guy was saying, Partagaz said, we don't have a presence in Gorman. Is that the name of the planet?
Ghorman,
okay. Yeah. I didn't know if the people were Gorman and the planet was Gorma.
It's gourmand.
Gourmand. He was saying we don't have a presence there. And the military guy was saying, we are starting to build a base tomorrow. And Partagaz was like, excuse me?
Yeah,
so
right.
You could see the departments don't even know what each other are doing. They're keeping people, it's either purposeful where they're isolating their departments for plausible deniability. Or
I 100% think it is.
It's a weakness in the Empire where they are not cross-communicating, which is also a possibility.
Total possibility because their arrogance is so big. They're now ascending in the galaxy. Okay, they're starting to get a taste of what Palpatine probably promised all of these assholes. And now they think they're untouchable. So now they're going to start to crabs in a bucket, see who can get on top of each other to get to the top. You know?
Yes.
So I think it's one of those things where all you have to do is let them loose and then they'll finish the job for them by tearing each other down, no matter what department it is. I can't stand people who do that. Sorry.
I love the crabs in a bucket. I think you've described them that way before in the past, and I really love that expression for this.
I hate to do that to a crab, but if you picture them in a bucket, it's literally the Empire.
No, it's true.
And that really includes Vader. Trying to get on top of Luke to try to get up there and do away with Palpatine.
Everybody.
Yeah. We're not there yet. We are 37 minutes in and we haven't even started episode 2. So folks, strap in.
Before we move on to, can we please talk about the scenes with Cassian? Because
which ones? All of them?
The one where he lands on the planet, you know, that they reveal what it is at the end of episode 2.
I slapped my leg and said, "What? They were Yavin the whole time. Are you serious? I screamed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have, but my boyfriend was sitting next to me, and I was just like, oh, that's the place where Princess Leia is.
Yes. But as soon as
God.
it was revealed, I understood the point of all of it. I got the point.
Yeah.
At this point in my notes, I say, I do not understand the scenes or purpose of this stranded group, nor do I care for them. That was at the end of episode 1.
Yeah, I think it was funny. It was, again, an opportunity for more humor to show. They mentioned Maya Pei, so
Yes.
we know that Saw Gerrera has mentioned her, and I think she's mentioned in Rebel Rising.
I believe so.
It's to show that these rebels are not even organized. And when Cassian says it's for the rebellion, and they're like, what? Like, whose rebellion? What rebellion? Like, who are you with? What are you talking about? Because there's no organized rebellion. And I'm sorry, I just love that he's always the smartest one in the room.
Well, he's been through this. Think about it. When they went to Aldhani, was it Aldhani?
Yes,
And he was the only organized one amongst that group. And so I kind of enjoyed his growth in the way that he kind of sat back and was already looking for stuff that they didn't have a perimeter. Do we have water? It's not going to rain forever. You better get a tarp up. We need water and food. What are we doing about who are these people? Like, who's in charge here? Nobody, because they're bickering over whose brother and who and so and like it was complete dysfunction.
But he is like staying sharp and not getting emotional. He gets upset later, like after the fact, but during the whole process, he keeps his head on straight.
He's trying to drink water while these are over here talking about moldy breakfast bars.
I know.
He's the only smart one. I fucking love Cassian.
I do too. I love that they show that off too. You know, it's really rewarding for a person who's like a fan of the character to see the character get to be the best version of themselves. It's really nice, especially after seeing the horrific shit that he went through in season 1. It's nice to see him, you know, being strong. But I really, the line where he says to the guy who's watching him, do they really trust you or do they just think you're stupid?
Yeah.
It's like, he delivered it so well. I laughed every time I watched it because I rewatched the show a couple times just to get my notes. But also, he's, again, so observant of people's dynamics. It's not even just like, oh, they're fighting. It's like he can start to see the fractions within how you can manipulate certain characters, which ones are going to be the weak ones that he can cull out from the herd.
Yep.
It's so fascinating to watch. And that's why he's such a good spy and such a good character, and just
totally.
I love Diego Luna's performance in it. Is so good.
If I had one complaint about these episodes is that I wish that Cassian had more time on screen as opposed to being in the background of what those characters were trying to do.
Totally.
Just because in my opinion, it's a waste of Diego Luna's talent, but he was a talent on screen for what he was there to do.
I completely agree with you. After watching it a couple times, I loved it and I really enjoyed everything. And then I came away thinking, like, Cassian's barely in it.
Right.
And I did feel while watching it that sequence on Yavin took way too long.
It
like,
did
I really
take
wish they could have cut it down.
Yes.
I'm hoping that it's important. Obviously, it's Yavin, so I'm guessing they're going to come back around to it. Like, either they're going to work with the Maya Pei rebels, or they're going to go, obviously, back to Yavin at some point. But right now, I'm feeling like that was a little too long, and I would have liked Cassian to do more and say more. I mean, the show is about Andor, but it seems to be more about everyone else around him.
Don't forget, his absence on the comms during the whole wedding made a level of tension that only added to the going on at the wedding stuff. You know, everyone's waiting to hear from Cassian. Did the ship land? Where's the you know, all this stuff, to the point where what's her name left to go back to the museum or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know.
I saw someone sent me a post that said Andor is basically everybody saying, "Where's Cassian?" and Cassian getting like into a bunch of not being able to get back to where he's trying to go.
Everyone always asks, "Where's Cassian?" but nobody ever asks, "How's Cassian?"
That's true. How is Cassian? He's trying to keep a sense of humor about all the that he lives through. Okay, should we move on to episode 2?
I think we should after 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Oh, man.
Well, Cyril's back and he's dry as ever.
Oh, my God. Was it entertaining, though?
It was
He's such a piece of who's so self-important piece of shit. I even had to say that out loud when watching it because it's like, you're doing nothing. And I love it. He's like, what was the line? It was like, there's a place for people who dare at this stupid desk job.
Yes. I was once here. Yeah. Do you know what I did? I found this unrelated hint of something that made Get out of here.
And he called it an underground cabal. It's like, F you.
Get out of here, Cyril. And then you went home to mommy because you can't afford a home on your own. Get the out.
Well, mommy is...
Mom, those scenes...
Oh my God, mommy is Dedra now instead of his mom. Oh my God, they're so weird together.
We will get
it's
to
so
that.
weird.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Gotta go in order.
You're...
What did you feel about the Mina Rao, everything going on there? I have felt very uncomfortable, and I'm glad I felt uncomfortable with the creepy silo dude hitting on Bix.
Yeah. Saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah,
we'll get to that as well.
We will get to that, but I was happy to see that they're all there. They're all well. B2EMO is there.
I know.
And then he isn't.
And he's playing with kids. I guess that's in episode 3, but yeah.
But
I think
like the family's there. And there was a picture of Marva.
Yes.
Did you see that? The picture
I did see that.
It broke my heart.
And did you see or hear when... This is jumping ahead a little bit. When Bix is trying to get Cassian on the radio and they can kind of hear each other, he says, this is the code word or whatever is sky and stone, or stone and sky, whatever. Mm-hmm. I just love the little references to Marva that they made. I hope there are more because I loved Marva so much.
I'm glad they had her still in the show in some capacity, even though it was just slight. Mm-hmm. You know, her memory is there. They carry her with them. She's the spirit of that group, you know. And I just want to hit on this. The silo stuff it's literally, this is where the Empire does its damage. And it's often overlooked because we talk about the big communities like Gorman. We talk about all of Jeddah. We talk about Alderaan. But it's the communities of innocent people who are just trying to work, make a living, go on with their life, keep their head down, do what they're supposed to do, and here they come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Causing unrest, making trouble, having, you know, whether they're, quote, illegal or not. These are people that are just trying to make a life for themselves from whatever their past is, okay?
Yeah.
And trying to do it honestly without these coming in and disrupting everything. And I feel this on a very deep and personal level for what's going on in my own life, in my own organization.
Yeah.
I see myself and the people I work with in these scenes, and I can't help but get very, very emotional over it.
Yeah.
I feel it very deeply. And I'm trying not to personalize it, but I see the symbolism in it, and I can't help but connect to it.
Well, and the thing about what you're experiencing and what, you know, this is very obviously a direct comment on immigrant workers and how they are like a marginalized group and they don't have legal representation a lot of times. So it's very easy to exploit them and treat them badly. And the thing is, the Empire benefits from what they're doing.
Yes.
But they still want to go in and fuck around and hurt people. And it's just one of those things where you're asking why? Why do you expend this much energy to just hurt and cause trouble?
Yes.
Because you're net positive, you know, by letting them do the work you're unwilling to do.
Correct.
As the Empire, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So they're growing the grain, they're harvesting it for you, they're processing it for you. Why are you complaining, you know?
Because they can. Because it gives somebody power somewhere to do something over this group of people. And that's all they give a fuck about.
And they're big and strong enough to actually protect these marginalized people, but they choose not to. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
So, yeah. I think that it's a very important dialogue that Andor is raising, and just like in season 1, they didn't shy away from that kind of stuff, and I think it's very brave of them, and I think it's actually, I give Disney credit because Tony Gilroy has said that they backed everything he proposed 100%.
Awesome.
And didn't shy away from it, even though it was uncomfy.
Well,
you know?
I also want to take a moment to, if you think back to season 1 of Andor, the miners, the junkyarders, the people on Ferrix, right? We'll consider them like blue collar. This is nothing to do with legal versus illegal, whether you earned your spot or not. Okay, you're there, you're working, you're doing something, and they come in and disrupt.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And they're going to continue to do this. We saw it in the Ahsoka book, where they come in, they rough up some community, take what they want, leave, and it's left people in shambles.
Yeah.
And without the means or the bodies necessary to put themselves back together.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this. For the listeners out there that do not know, I don't speak on it often. I am a federal employee for the United States, for the federal government of the United States, in a scientific field. And this is what's happening to us right now. And our level, our small level of fighting back is staying and doing our job and continuing to help the people of this country in our job, despite them trying to dismantle and bully us around.
Yeah.
And I will continue to do that. My coworkers will continue to do that because we are impassioned and we did this because we want to help people. And the comparisons and the parallels that I see in this show really made me cry at times, because like I'm really, really happy that Tony Gilroy, Disney, and everybody took the time to show issues that span many different workforces, many different types of people. I'm talking degreed people right down to blue collars who have no degrees, and everyone in between that is necessary to make a community, a system, a country, a state of anything, a planet work, right? It comes down on the people whose backs that the empire is slashing, actively hurting.
Yeah.
But our resistance, the rebellion, if you will, is to continue to do it. And that's why Cassian's opening words in episode 1 is they cannot win as long as we continue to remain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just important to see ourselves reflected in art or media, however you want to look at it. And that's why stuff like Andor is so important.
And not only that, I'll jump ahead to episode 3. We see how women are treated constantly by men in positions of power.
Yeah. And there's something about the first interaction between Bix and this lieutenant happens in episode 2. And he is polite and kind of charming. And the minute she gives any slight polite resistance, mentioning she has a husband, his tone immediately changes.
Immediately.
It's scary.
It's very scary, and I credit that actor because that fight scene, the struggle between them, was so fucking good. It had to have been so tough.
I know. I was thinking that too, that I feel a little sorry for the actor because he's going to be hated because everyone associates people as their characters. But honestly, his performance was so very good and disturbing.
Believable and disturbing. Yeah. And kudos to him, because if we hate a character, that means they did it right.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of you, Joffrey, in Game of Thrones. That poor kid. But like, it has to be super heavy to act out scenes like that. Has to be.
Oh my God.
I don't know how they do
upsetting.
It. Ugh.
Yeah. We're jumping ahead a bit. I mean, I think we should talk about it very specifically when we get there in episode 3. But yes, you're so right. That's the thing. This show is set in a galaxy far, far away, but it's just a mirror to our own existence. So
I did have written down here that the paused shot of the flames of the crew's fire that they were all sitting around talking was reflected on the eye of B2.
Yeah.
And did you notice how they paused and it was like flames? And I was like, oh, that's symbolic. I mean, every shot is purposeful, you know?
I know. I was like, why is that very obviously there?
It's foreboding and horrible, but
yeah.
I love how he waits for Cassian. I hope he finds a happy place. I hope he's taken care of.
Did you notice he's a little like more banged up because he lives on a farm now? His armor's all dented.
Did you see the giant ox that was in the background with his head in a trough? And it was like an animatronic of some sort, I'm guessing, but it was like very cool. I loved that.
So cool. Do you know they literally planted a field of rye in the middle of England? I think in the Midlands. To film this. Like, that's how fucking dedicated this show is. They will plant a field of grain.
Well, I mean, some of those shots that they shot of like running through there and like hiding in the depths, you can't just fake that, you know?
Yeah. I was saying to my boyfriend, I was like, how did they do this? And he was like, oh, it's like the matte background. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like the sequences of them in the grain, like running through it, it couldn't be faked. So even if they grew it and harvested it, dried it, and then reset it up, because I have seen other movies do that, where they set up bales of the grain so it actually looks like it's growing, or whether they filmed in an actual growing field.
Right.
It doesn't matter. The finished product was absolutely gorgeous. Can we just say that everything in the show is beautiful?
100%.
Like a painting?
Totally.
Unbelievable. The imagery. I want the concept art book, please, Tony. I will buy it the minute it's available. Oh, I cannot wait. I hope they do that, because every other fucking show gets it. Yeah. Why can't Andor have it?
It's true.
Please.
It's true. Did you notice the relics in the antique shop?
I did, and I was trying to remember if they're the same or not from last season.
It was the headpiece that Padme wears, or at least people on Naboo. I don't know if it's Padme's, but it's Naboo.
Yes, the like gold arched sun crown kind of thing.
And then the species of Plo Koon, that thing was right next to it. I'm like, oh my God, rest in peace to both of them.
I was like, if I was a millionaire, I'd buy both pieces right now. Yeah, that shop is so cool.
It is cool.
I just, again, like the art design and everything. Like the wedding continues in this episode. There's I think this is the one where Perrin gives a speech.
Yes, that was real good. That's some good writing.
That was very interesting because for like multiple reasons to me, there was the whole thing of it's a real Tony Gilroy gem, right?
It is.
Pain will find you.
Yes.
And he's giving this whole speech about hidden joy and kind of like hedonism, basically, you know, to like find the joy and like reach for the joy. Mm-hmm. And while he's talking about this, they're cutting to Mon Mothma and Vel and Luthen, and these are people who can no longer grasp that tangible joy because they know the truth. And then there's this other layer to me, because Perrin himself is full of shit.
Yeah, I thought it was very ironic that he gave this speech with these words.
This man, unhappily married, very much can't wait 2 seconds to start digging in at his wife again for something. And it just struck me of how it's very like real life, this empty tradition, right, of giving wedding speeches and oftentimes giving advice to the young bride and groom from embittered, conceited, resentful adults.
Yeah.
And Perrin is all those things.
All of those things and more.
Yeah, and I found it very interesting and beautiful. Like, it's beautifully written. Yeah. And it was just making me kind of the whole time.
I think, well, for Mon Mothma's sake, girl, she's probably sitting there going, spit some more shit, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
They live their house, this wedding, the friendships of the people that are there. It's just one giant facade.
Yes.
It's just this veil that it's so everywhere in the galaxy at this point.
Yeah.
Because Bail Organa is doing the same shit somewhere else, trying to keep it under wraps. You know that so-and-so from this planet who doesn't agree with this shit is doing it, all of this, it's just so fake. And this shit goes on in real life all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
You don't care about these people in this room.
And those people are all in that room because she made a deal with the devil, basically, with Skulden to give her young daughter away for money.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he paid her, but he moved money financially for her.
And that didn't go well for him.
Oh my God, too. The whole stuff with Tay Kolma was heartbreaking and so interesting.
This is the real cost of a rebellion.
Yeah. Yes.
And just skipping into episode 3, I can't envision a better way to kind of embody that than Mon dancing the pain away. Dancing because you can't laugh. You can't cry.
Yeah.
You have to hide it.
Yeah. That whole sequence is awesome. I can't wait till we get there.
Yeah. It's just like, this is the cost of that. Luthen's already been there. He's already in it. And I think the lines he gives, his dialogue with Mon is very revealing of the fact that she's not at his level yet, but she's there now after these episodes.
Now she is.
Yep.
Yes. It's like the most painful way for her to realize anyone you ask for help,
that's it.
You're also making a liability immediately. Because you can't control some of these external things, like Tay's wife, he and his wife have separated. And I didn't get this at first. I had to go back and rewatch with subtitles because it was just so much dialogue and it was very dense. And I was like, I think I'm missing something. He was saying that he had financial troubles. He stuck his neck out for her, helped her. She's happy. Skulden's happy. He lost money on investments because of things the rebellion did.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I had missed that at first. So it's like, not only did he stick his neck out, now he's financially almost ruined because of the people he's helping. It's very ironic.
Yeah.
That immediately, the minute he started saying that to her, made him a liability. Yeah.
And Luthen knew, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
The craziest part of this is that none of these people are going to get out clean. And it begs the question.
Yeah.
The age-old question. The philosophical pondering of, what is the cost of a life?
Yeah.
Does losing one make it less evil than losing 10,000? Do you sacrifice 10,000 to save 1,000,000? Do you sacrifice can you even put that into words? Is there any way to justify it? And that's when Cassian ends up saying, like, we've all done things for the rebellion that we regret, that we are not happy, we're not proud of.
Yeah.
Everyone has blood on their hands. Everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if this is right to say, but it's the cost of freedom.
Yes, I mean, everyone always says that, even about the American Revolution. You don't get there without getting blood on your hands, which is, the American Revolution is nothing to measure your revolutions by, but it's true. Like, that's why whenever anyone says, oh, we need a revolution, it's like, you don't know what you're saying.
It's
true. You have no idea. To say that, you're talking about not just however long that war takes, but generations of bloodshed back and forth as the pendulum swings back and forth.
And the grudges that last, and the laws and bylaws that come after that affect one or the other, negatively or positively. Like, it's a ripple that can't be contained. And that's what's starting now. They are navigating waters in this show in just these 3 episodes already that are, it's difficult, dude.
Yeah, I know. And they did it with such grace.
How do they do it? I'm just going to keep it. I just don't have any answers. It's so good.
Dude, every scene when Mon Mothma and her daughter is excruciating.
It is. It is. It makes me want to slap that girl.
I know. She's been so brainwashed against her mother by, I assume, her father.
I'm guessing.
That it's just so messed up. But that scene where Mon tries to tell her you don't have to go through with this.
Yep.
There was something so deeply heartbreaking, and I'm really glad that they put it in there, because to me it was so relatable of like the pain that women work through, and this is not at all to undermine the pain that men deal with, but there was something very particularly relatable for me, at least, and I've seen a lot of women in my life do this, where they are bleeding inwardly and they brush one fucking tear away and get done.
Yeah.
And rise to that occasion and go back to work, even though inside they are in complete turmoil. And just because you can't stop, there's no time to stop, no ability to stop and grieve or feel some pain sometimes. And I thought that was a very important scene to see. It shows her strength, but it also, I think, is just such a representation of a lot of mothers in particular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I am a mother, but, your kids will say things that are so hurtful and devastating, and you have to keep going forward and love them anyway and forgive them. And it was just such a powerful scene, and it's just so angering because she doesn't deserve it.
No, and Genevieve's acting is a lesson in subtlety, and the poise that woman has on screen with this character is just, I love to watch her on screen. I just do.
I do too. She's captivating.
Yeah, she's just such an important character, and the fact that we're getting all of this backstory on someone who's always been a figure in Star Wars but never really her own character, it's fantastic. Truly fantastic.
I know, a 2-second throwaway part in Return of the Jedi, and now she's this,
The amount of sacrifice that all of these people have to give. And we know the level of sacrifice that these people have to give.
Yeah.
It just breaks my heart. Because, we know it, but they don't know it yet, even though,
yes,
it's fake.
I mean, Diego Luna talked about that at Celebration. He said, I have to say this dialogue knowing what happens to my character, but he doesn't know what happens. The character himself doesn't know. Oh my God. It's such an interesting dynamic, and I guess there's like a comfort in knowing Mon Mothma survives, but Luthen's not gonna be, he wasn't in Return of the Jedi. I assume he's not gonna be there.
I'm guessing.
And he's the one telling her all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, in a way, she's kind of his apprentice at this point, and he probably knows he's not gonna make it, because he's a hard ass. He knows he can stare death down and know and be okay with I've accepted this, but someone's going to have to follow in his footsteps at some point. And the faster she learns this, the more capable of a leader she'll be when it comes down to the hard stuff that awaits her that we all know of, but that she doesn't.
I love that in storytelling,
I do
right?
too.
Where you get to see the character's arc and they change, but usually it comes at a great cost, but they change for the better and become these incredible leaders. But because they have had this suffering and this sacrifice, in their past, oh my God, she's such a great character.
She really is.
I saw someone who was interviewing Tony Gilroy said, you managed to make me care a lot and get invested in Mon Mothma.
Right.
Who was a kind of a throwaway character.
Just a figurehead, a symbol of the rebellion.
Yeah.
And here we are, rooting for her, hating the way her daughter talks to her, ready to go to bat for this woman against her piece of shit husband and her piece of shit friend. You know what I mean?
Yes. Can we finally talk about
Cyril
Mother coming to
yes,
dinner?
Yes. I just have to say, in my notes, I put all that preparation was for Cyril's mother. I was not expecting that. I was thinking Krennic, Vader, Tarkin. Who are they getting ready for? You know what I mean? Who's coming to dinner? And it's this little woman, this little powerhouse. Here she comes, whipping in like a tornado, like, oh my God.
So good. And they're just so weird. Like, I love that the whole sequence has this weird 1960s cheerful background music.
Complete
and
with
they're
fondue.
Getting dressed. Yes, I know, fondue.
Yeah, fondue and Coruscant.
Oh my God. And like, I loved seeing Deidre holding up outfits.
White or black.
And they just look like Imperial uniforms. Like, they don't look like anything else.
And she went with the black. She went with the black. Her acting is on point, dude.
Amazing.
She does this thing with her finger when she gets annoyed.
Yes.
Have you noticed she does this thing with her finger? I love, what's her name? Now I can't think of her name. The actress.
Denise Guff.
Thank you.
Yes.
Love her. Love her.
She and Kyle Soller too. Like, they are just so good. And I loved seeing interviews with them together because they were saying how weird it was for them to perform these scenes where they just stand and look at each other.
Yeah.
They don't even
no emotion.
talk. Like, there's
none.
There's that one moment where she reaches out and touches his face, and it's like, it's not affectionate.
Like,
it's
no.
weird.
So I want to know, is this a relationship of convenience? Is it even a relationship? Is it a cover-up? Are they working together as roommates, but under the guise, like, I'll help you look like you have a girlfriend if you help me, and I'll get you out of trouble with Ferrix and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
It's weird.
I see no affection, not even from him towards her.
I heard her say something that it's more like she doesn't know what to do with him, so she's keeping tabs on him by keeping him close.
This is not a relationship because either of them have feelings for anything. I don't think.
Although her interaction with Edie was very satisfying. It was so great.
Here's how it's going to work, and this is not an option. This is what I'm going to do with him. And your interference is not an option. And the woman tried to speak, and she's like, I'm not finished. It was
like the boss back again. Like,
right,
oh my God.
But we find out that she grew up in the Empire.
I know. Like, a kinder block? Like, oh my God.
What is that, kindergarten? In like a cell
it's just
block?
Yeah, like a child block. Yeah,
Oh my
it sounded.
fucking God.
And she said,
her parents were criminals.
yes, which could mean they were normal people that
Absolutely.
the Empire just deemed criminals, but she's so brainwashed that she thinks they're criminals.
And I've never seen her hair down.
I know.
Isn't that
And then she
crazy?
immediately put it back up and like tightened it back up. But I loved when she said, I was raised in an Imperial Kinderblock, and just took a bite of food and you hear the little teeth touch the fork. I was like, it's so perfectly edited. My God, it's so timed perfectly.
I love
the
point when it just so Cyril, like, on the bed, exasperated, like he's given up.
That's a new reaction meme immediately, like escalated to meme level.
Hashtag mood.
So funny. Yes.
It was so f***ing relatable.
It really was. We've all been there, Cyril. Dear God.
I've never felt more connected with his character than I did in that moment.
I love the sequence too where Edie is talking about how the pleasantries of Coruscant, and it would become apparent by contrast wherever he went off to Morlana.
Right.
And he's like, are you saying I came home for the cakes?
Yeah. Yeah, and the little Fruit Loops that he ate, the little cereal that he got from her. Yeah, the whole thing.
It was
so
good.
You know it's a very interesting contrast to Mon Mothma and how she spoke to her daughter Lita versus how this mother treats her son. Two totally different levels of whatever the that is. Excellent acting by all three parties. I'm sure that scene was just fun to shoot.
Oh my God, I bet.
I'm sure, like, just who hasn't been there though? When the in-laws show up, and it's like, oh man.
You know what I love too? that apartment was so sterile.
Terrible.
And anal retentive,
Yep.
meticulous type of. But then Edie comes in and she's orange.
Yeah, a pop of color. Yeah.
And even her fingernails were orange, and she's spilling food on the thing, which is funny because her home seemed meticulous in its own way.
Correct.
And I just love that she is chaos introduced
In
to this world.
Just this tiny little package, too. What a fantastic, that would be such a fun role to play.
Oh my God, that actress is one of my favorites in the whole series. She's so good.
Man, she was on screen for X amount of minutes. She will have lasting impressions.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And she was asking for spiced tea. Do they mean spice as in Star Wars spice? Is she asking for drugs?
I didn't fucking think of that. Well, listen, if anybody needed the drugs, it was poor Cyril.
Yeah, seriously, he needed the drugs more.
I guess not, because she did say I could run to the convenience store, basically. It's right over there. So I don't think they'd have, like, drugs at the convenience store, but interesting catch.
You never know. Oh, man. Well, that was one of the most delightful parts of that episode. This weird domestic life that they live.
Yeah.
It was so bizarre.
Yeah, it really was. I guess we should get to the really heavy stuff. Huh?
Yeah, I think it's important to
is.
talk about it, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I just have to say before we move on, when Cassian finally gets out of his predicament and outsmarts all of them, right?
Yes.
Outsmarts the entire crew on the ground and gets to where he's going. He steals the comm unit. He makes connection with the antique shop. Mm-hmm. Did you hear him say, "I need a weather report"?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
First of all, I felt called out. Secondly, the irony is there is no weather on Coruscant, correct?
I believe so.
It's
yes.
a man-made
It's like
atmosphere with purposely zero weather. And I thought, easiest weather report ever. coming
sunny
from an
skies,
expert.
clear.
I was just like, I like that. The irony that there still is no weather on Coruscant and he's asking for a weather report. Love it. Love it. I felt personally called out.
That's great.
Trigger warning, because we're going to talk about rape.
Exactly. I was going to say, I don't know if there was a trigger warning on the beginning of the show. If there was, I didn't notice it, and I didn't notice it the second time I watched the episode either.
I
really wish I had seen one just to...
Well, it did say, it had the warnings, and it was like very coarse language. First of all, I loved that it said coarse language. That's why it stuck out to me. But I don't think it said anything of
sexual violence.
I think it was just violent. I'm not sure.
I did see the violence part.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing sexual violence, although I think it may have been added now because enough people were like, hey, it would have been nice to know that was coming up.
I actually wouldn't have believed it if I had seen it, because it's up until this point, we've had kind of a watered down a vision of what the galaxy is out there.
Yes.
Turns out when humans live anywhere, shit like this is going to happen, especially if you're a dirtbag.
Yeah. And Tony Gilroy actually made a comment, and so did Adria now that the episode has come out. They both made comments about it. And he was saying that basically, if there's war, there's rape. And he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
If you check history, that is why people survive now, because it's kind of like an ethnic cleansing will happen often, where it's not just killing off people. Sometimes it's like raping people to continue the conquest culture into a new place. It's very common. It's disgusting. It's like one of the most grossest part of humanity. And I had really mixed feelings about it being in the episode, because I think it is important to talk about it, and what kind of hypocrite would I be? Because I love that Andor is more realistic. I love that the fear and the peril feels more real than it usually does in Star Wars. I will say I never thought that I was gonna have to see a scene like that in Star Wars, and that's kind of why I love Star Wars. I feel a little safer watching Star Wars than watching other stuff.
Yeah.
Because, not because I'm denying that it existing, but because Star Wars is my escapism.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think it was a very powerful scene, and I think they did it respectfully.
I do too.
If it had gone any further, I might not watch the show anymore, to be perfectly honest.
They actually did it without ripping her clothes off.
Yeah.
So they did not have to demean or be gratuitous in the way of getting it across without it actually having to be like gross, right?
Yeah.
You can have undertones or overtones without it being demeaning to the actress or actor. It just wasn't that.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, I was unfazed by it, and I don't know what that says about me or about our media that we ingest regularly, but it was as common as a sunrise and a sunset in a scene to me, which is very, very sad.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I really hate when rape is used as entertainment.
Yeah.
And there are certain shows that I will not mention that are extremely popular that I will not watch because rape has become like a center point of that show in a way that feels voyeuristic and gross.
Yep.
And that's different than what happened here. This, I don't feel like this was a kind of like, ooh, it was actually really sexy. It's like, no, it's violent and upsetting. And Adria said something amazing where she said that there's a feeling women get sometimes when a strange man is too close to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've felt that myself. It's like a stranger feels okay breaking your personal barrier. And it's like, now you're alert.
Yes.
And you're uncomfortable. And of course, obviously, this scene escalated into an incredibly violent situation. And I think that she performed it so beautifully.
She really did. They both did. Honestly, I had a very visceral reaction to it because I know that. Let me just say, this has not happened to me. But I've been in situations where that person has crossed a boundary. You feel gross and disgusted, and there's a part of you that just wants to acquiesce just to keep the peace because you're so afraid of something happening. But at the same time, how dare they?
Yes. So, everyone's familiar with fight or flight.
Yeah. Or
and
freeze.
There's a third one called fawn.
Oh, fawn.
Or I guess that's a fourth one. Fight, flight, or freeze. Fawn is another one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she started doing, saying, that must be difficult for you, you know, those struggles.
Placate.
And it's to diffuse
the
situation. So you're trying to keep it from escalating. So you're being kind, and even though you're deeply uncomfortable, you're trying to make people comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, let's calm down.
Let's not go there. Please don't go there. Please don't make me go there. Please don't do this. And I think she even said, please no.
She did.
Don't do this.
And I loved that her instinct was to just hit him really hard in the face.
Yeah.
She didn't do that, I don't think, purposefully. It was like once Bix got pushed too far, because she was tortured in season 1.
Oh, yeah.
I actually felt very grateful that she wasn't going to freeze or fawn, because a person who has trauma sometimes can't help the responses that they have.
Totally.
And hers was to fight and protect herself. And even though, we wished people could have run in and saved the day sooner, I think it was really important that she saved herself and had agency in the moment, even though it was really fucking upsetting.
Well, it's a human reaction to protect yourself by any means. Now, I can't believe he got up after getting hit in the head with a wrench or whatever. I'm like, dude, get down. Just stay down. What a creep. But very real scenario. And the roles, I'm not saying it's man on woman. It could be gender on gender of your choice. This happens across the board.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable, but it was not gratuitous, and I'm okay with it. I just don't want any more of it.
Yeah. And the thing that I think really upset me was it was so upsetting that I then forgot about everything I had watched prior. And that's why I feel like it would have been nicer if we got one episode a week so you could digest it, because that, to me, I was not expecting it at all. I mean, I was expecting the vibe was indicating it. I didn't think they were going to take it as far as they took it or have it be as violent as it was, because it was
Very
actually
violent.
quite violent for Star Wars. I mean, and there's blood, which Star Wars is famous for not having any blood. And then, like, it was all I could think about for the rest of the night. And I had forgotten all the other episodes. So when I went back and rewatched it, I knew it was coming. I was able to, like, really take the scene in, and, like, it didn't undermine the rest of the story. But in that moment, to me, it was like, I'm so shocked now I can't even remember the other two episodes. So that was one detriment, I would say, to, like, releasing blocks of episodes at once instead of one at a time.
And the other shoe dropped very shortly after.
Yeah.
And this is where I lost it. When Brasso died.
Yeah. I really was hoping that he was going to be okay.
I didn't think he would go. Not this soon. Not the way that he went. And the terrible way. The choice that Cassian had to make to just leave him there.
I know. Oh. And that scene with him when Cassian gets out of the ship and runs to him, and it's like, all I could think of was that last episode of season 1 where Brasso's telling him what Marva said and how important that was, and how their friendship was so beautiful, and for it to end so suddenly and shockingly, and it was really well acted, but it was really deeply heartbreaking.
I cried. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
When Cassian kissed, like, the top of his head.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like two brothers who've been through it, you know? And it, like, I kind of know that not everyone's going to live because Star Wars, right? But, and, like, Rogue One is staring us in the face, and, like, no one's going to get out, okay? This is just the beginning. And I don't think I've ever loved anyone more than I've loved Brasso. He's just such a pure, like, it wasn't time. I wasn't ready. God damn it. And he doesn't get a brick. He doesn't get a brick. You know,
I know.
Like, he doesn't get to.
I know. The whole scene was really heartbreaking, and he doesn't even get a death scene. He's just dead.
That's it.
You know, like, Cassian just shows up and he's dead. There's no more words to say, and
that's what we're up against. This is it. Like, which blended perfectly into the ending scenes of Mon losing her mind. I mean, and it was spliced with the scenes of them on the ship, like, facing the reality that those are the three that are left. You know, I mean, I know there's that other group that got away with
but
B2
my brain just kept thinking,
stuff.
and then there was 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's only 3 more blocks of episodes left, so we're gonna lose somebody in every block of episodes. Is
Yes, I believe that is correct, because we're down to Cassian by the end of this.
Exactly. You're not the only one who's lost everything. Yeah, I think it's. So I wanted to talk about this sequence in particular because it's displaying something called dissonance, which, I mean, dissonance is its own word just in general, but when it's applied to cinema, it's where the audio and the video or the action does not match the audio. And so, like, the scene where Brasso's dead and Cassian says we have to go, and you could feel the music, like, rising emotionally, and then they cut really fast to Mon Mothma sequence and the dance music's going.
Yeah.
And if you notice, I don't know, I was paying attention to my own emotions at the time, and I was, like, just about to cry, and they cut the scene, and it, like, really interrupted my emotional experience. And that's on purpose. It's what the characters are going through. It's like they don't have time to grieve or process what happened to Brasso. It's immediately, we gotta go. We just gotta move on.
That's interesting.
And you don't, it's like when Marva died off screen.
Yeah.
And like Cassian is like us. We're like, wait, what? Marva's dead?
Yeah.
How did that happen? It's like we are having the character's experience where you're not given time to grieve and you go right into this dissonance with this loud music playing. It's upbeat. It's like disco dance, whatever, electronica music.
Yeah.
Mon Mothma's having a meltdown.
Yeah.
The Cassian and his friends have just lost one of the cornerstones of their friendship,
Yeah.
you know? And Vel is sitting on the floor,
Right.
totally ruined
Right.
because she saw Cinta.
Who's driving Mon's best friend to his death.
Exactly. Like, she's been called in specifically to kill Tay, which is just dark. It's really dark and sad.
Very dark. And they just get a fleeting glance at each other. And no words are spoken there.
Yeah.
Can't say anything.
It's so fast that Tay doesn't even notice it because Cinta turns just in time. You know, it's so
right.
devastating. But like dissonance is specifically designed to either heighten like an emotional experience for the audience or make you deeply uncomfortable, which if you've ever seen Reservoir Dogs, there's a very famous scene of dissonance in there where somebody cuts off somebody's ear while listening to the song Stuck Here in the Middle with You. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really,
yeah. That's a nice.
it's real fucked up. Or it's designed to give you the experience, like the internal experience that the characters are having. And I think that's really what we were getting in these last couple minutes with that. And I was not liking it.
I paused it after I realized Brasso's done. I had to pause it because I needed.
Yeah.
I had to sit with it. So I didn't get that experience because I paused it. So maybe I should rewatch it and go through it like it was intended. But you know me, I'm f***ing soft. So I have to have my moment.
I knew we were like right at the end, so I just let it play out. And then after that, I just sat on my couch for a really long time because that ending, like it was the rape sequence followed by Brasso's death, followed by no time to process it. And at the end, I was like, I'm very anxious. I feel very upset. And it was kind of how I felt during the Narkina 5 episode too, where it was like, I'm so upset. I need to process this out. And I think it was all on purpose. I think I was feeling exactly what I was supposed to feel. And that's why I don't think it was a negative. I think it was actually a really powerful sequence. And I didn't enjoy my experience on purpose. Like, I think you're supposed to be uncomfortable in that ending.
Now it cuts to a year, right? Now we have a year has passed after those scenes.
Yes.
So it's like we have to leave the dead behind.
Yeah.
In order to move forward. I wrote this down. I wrote a gilded cage when it comes to Mon Mothma and what her life is turning into.
Yeah.
The dancing shows her chaos, her letting go, dancing to hide the pain. It's a turning point for her. There's no going back. And I think, honestly, it might be the last time she's able to even let loose. I mean, she has to lose her family. At some point, we know she's going to have to either separate or lose them, or how it goes down, we don't know yet.
It's so important that you say that because there's a cinematography thing about her in particular I wanted to mention and I've forgotten. There's a shot of her where she's walking through the crowd and she's going the opposite direction of the dancers, spinning the other way. And she picks up a drink and she throws it back. She's in the center of the focus the entire time, even the handheld camera, it's moving around her on a body gyroscope. And she's centered and focused. Everything around her is blurry, which implies that she knows why this wedding is taking place. She knows what is going to happen to Tay. She knows what her truth really is. She's the only one with all this knowledge while everyone else is out of focus. And there's this shot of her alone in the crowd, because that's all she ever is always isolated and alone. And she's got her back to us facing the family, and she turns away from that. So she's turning away from like culture, party, tradition, family, and looks back at us, and you realize she's going to have to leave this, all of this. And it's all visually implied through this one sequence. It's really beautifully and like brilliantly done. It's so awesome.
That whole, what was it, like last half hour, 15 minutes of that episode really, really drove it home.
Yeah.
Just the amount of loss. But I find it ironic. And again, Tony Gilroy Jim, as delivered through Luthen, she's like, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. He's like, oh, how good for you that you don't get it. How easy for you, or whatever phrasing he used.
Yeah.
And it's like, you need to speed up here, Mon. Yeah. And then I think when it does hit her, it's all she can do to not lose it. Because remember, from the last season, she said, remember to smile. And that's what she's telling herself. Stay poised, smile, get lost in the dance so nobody knows that your whole life is falling apart.
I think Perrin notices, though.
He is no fool.
Yes, I wrote that down.
Really?
We're space twins.
I just don't know how it's going to come to the surface with him.
Yes, exactly. Because he also, there's a moment where he was watching Luthen and Clea as well. And it's like, ooh, I think he suspects something there.
But the thing is who is he actually in cahoots with? Because in the previews, we see Mon in the Senate. So I don't know if they're going to talk about Gorman, because I'm pretty sure she is the leading force of like, I'm done. Gorman is where I draw the line. So I wonder if he has a foot or a hand or whatever appendage.
A ponytail.
He has a fucking man bun in the say of some of the shit that's going on.
Yes.
And they're two opposite faces of the same coin. One is for the Empire, one is for the rebellion, and they're just playing each other. It's so gross. Like the level of fakery and that goes on. I can't do it. I'm not a politician. I can't be in that realm.
Yeah. I know. Ugh. I can't either. It would drive me insane. I would lose my mind.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts that we haven't covered in this very long deluxe episode of Most Things Kenobi? Because we just covered all things Andor.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have left to say is just, like, it's perfect. It's just a masterpiece, and I'm so glad we're getting this, and I cannot wait for more, and I'm terrified of more. So
yeah, this was an excellent first start. First 3 episodes, fantastic. Like we said at the beginning, we spent a lot of time on this, but we'll go back and do a separate episode or 2 or 4, delving into the more minute pieces that we love from this show when it's all said and done. Yeah. So, well done so far, right?
Yes. Bravo. May continue.
So our next episode is all about Andor Season 2, episodes 4, 5, and 6. We will be here next week with it.
Yes.
And just strap in, folks. We're in it.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. We appreciate every single one of our patrons and are grateful for your support. If you'd like to support the podcast and become a patron as well, head over to the Most Things Kenobi Patreon. As always, you can follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoy our podcast, feel free to rate us on Spotify and Apple. And if you need just one place to find all of these, head over to mostthinkskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.